sustainable resource in Africa. And so we need to be able to put attention to that. The second thing we looked at in regards to this mindset shift, transformational leadership, and good governance is it was highlighted that good governance and the rule of law are primary prerequisites of human development and investment. Without these two, without good governance, without following the rule of law, then nothing can function appropriately, and therefore no investment will come onto the continent. So it's very critical that this is taken into consideration, because when you put in mindset and you look at good governance and rule of law, then this will encompass human and national development in all the countries in Africa and also to the Africa diaspora. All right. So then now we come into the fifth sub-theme, which is cross-cutting issues. And in this, there were various things that were discussed. There were discussions around gender, around youth, around ICT, around climate change. So in this sub-theme, we looked at two things. The first one is technology. Technology. Even as we're using technology, it was actually highlighted that in technology, what are there are three things that need to be looked at when we're looking at these cross-cutting issues. We recommended that education, and especially EdTech, is something that needs to be really looked at. We looked at healthcare. Healthcare is very important, and so when we're looking at health tech, and also we actually saw some companies that are actually in this space. Healthcare and is very important when you consider that in regards to technology. And then the third thing was actually digital assets. It was highlighted last night under the cross-cutting issues that we really need to look at digital assets and how that will grow our economy. The second thing that was looked at in cross-cutting issues was basically the creative economy and the African culture. It was highlighted that language is very, very important. And Swahili language was actually identified as an unifier. As Africans, we need to be able to communicate better. We need to be able to understand each other. And so language is something that we can use that will be able to take us forward as we grow our countries and grow the diaspora engagement. The other thing we looked at when we talked about creative economy is basically the creative arts. And this is where it was highlighted and recommended that the youth should be able to do something around this. But beyond the youth participating in creative arts, what they need to do is be supported to ensure that there's economic development and that we as Africans and Africans in the diaspora are promoting our culture in the best light. So those were the two things in regards to cross-cutting issues: technology and the creative economy, which includes our culture. I will then now go to healthcare. Healthcare is really important, especially at this time that we are going through this COVID situation. So what we would like to highlight that was discussed that was given as a challenge to the young people, because it was said that they cannot engage in development without paying attention to the nation's health. And then the second thing we discussed or was recommended under the health sub-theme was basically increasing the financial resources devoted to health and the management of these resources and good service delivery to the people, especially the vulnerable, the dispossessed, and the poor. This is very critical as we go forward into actionizing after this symposium. I will go ahead also and talk about, I think I missed the AU agenda. So just give me a moment, because we had two highlights with the AU agenda, which also discusses Okay, just give me a moment there. All right. AU agenda and diaspora mainstreaming. All right. So in regards to that, to AU agenda, we need to mainstream the diaspora agenda, which is, and there are many limitations. So the recommendation was, how can we work with the poor quality of information that the diaspora mobilizes? The meeting recommended that all diaspora stakeholders should commit resources to developing the information infrastructure to support the diaspora. It was also resolved that the Africa Diaspora Alliance would seek out partnership with organizations like IOM, which is the International Organization for Migration, the Africa Institute for Remittances, international NGOs such as AFORD, and the financial industrial players, both multilateral like the Africa Development Bank and member states, to develop research literature to provide more reliable sources of information on remittances. The meeting further commended Nigeria and Ghana for leading the way in formal integration of their diasporas into their country's development agenda. In Nigeria, through the issues of the first successful diaspora born in 2017, we can see that. Also, Ghana, through a series of official endorsements of the role of its diaspora in national development. So it is very critical that diaspora is mainstreamed into, if we are to go ahead and see the growth of Africa and the Africa diaspora. The second thing that was noted in the conference is the varying level of success attained by different member states in galvanizing their diaspora and expanding their visibility on the African stage. To aid in the transfer of best practices, the meeting resolved to collect, compile, and showcase success stories from different member states during the annual Diaspora Symposium. And so with that, I believe I've highlighted the 7 sub-themes. We did focus on just 2 recommendations. And after this symposium, we'll be putting it together and then sharing it out to the attendees as we make sure that we have an action plan after that. And so with that, I'll thank you again for taking your time to listen in to the recommendation and the high-level statements that we compiled during this symposium. Thank you very much. And over to you, Professor Ayeni. Oh, Prince Lakan, sorry.
Please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Anne, for that wonderful summary. And I think all the elements recommended were properly delivered, and I will just hand over to Prince Laker now. Prince Laker, are you there? Anne, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you, Professor Ayeni.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, what we're trying to do, and which we need to is the fact that we are very cautious of the quality of the recommendation. And in saying that, it's not just the recommendation that is important. We are keen on the next stage. We want something that is implementable. We also want to have something that we can market to the world and say this is what we have been able to do. To us, we are coming up with products, and this product is a unique product which we want to sell. So please, if anybody is expecting for 10 recommendations on one issue, we have not done that. What the next step we do is to expand all these issues. For example, I just thought I should let people know that is where we are at the moment. But the most important thing is the quality of the report we are coming out with. And I'm happy that, Professor Ayeni, that your comment also supports what you're trying to do. But please let us understand, it's not the quantity, it's the quality of the report that is important. Thank you very much. All those who on this, because I'm sure, and you realize that I didn't allow her to sleep, just as the other members, Sam and others. So with me, because whatever we do, we must live. We just want to make sure that we meet this. I'm very grateful to you, to all of you who made this contribution, and to everybody who participated. We thank you.
Thank you.